Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another interview session, the Career Success Interview Series. I have an amazing guest coming up today and shortly. So I follow this young lady on also IG. If you notice, I have a pattern people that I watch and follow. They're very interesting. So I feel like, hey, let's bring them on so they can share their story. She's a former talent acquisition professional. Transitioned into the entrepreneur space, but she's worked for some pretty big companies like Johnson & Johnson and some other big financial firms that she's also out of New York. So I'll let her explain that a little more. But she also started her own nonprofit called The Collaborative and is current president of DJR Enterprises. And I'll let her obviously dive into that so much more. But let me bring her on board if she is ready. Miss Victoria Jen.
I'm ready. How are you?
How are you?
I am good. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Yes. So we are both natives of New York,
Yes.
New York area. So we're Northerners, I guess.
New Yorkers.
New Yorkers, love it. So I'm super excited to have you on the show today because, again, I noticed your background very similar in experience, but you've worked for some pretty global brands, and we'll get into that story, in which I definitely want you to share your experience, how you transitioned, and then what we're going to talk about is mindset and personal transformation, and how that's helped you succeed in your career. So share with the viewers your story.
Okay, got it. So how can I see if people are on? Can I see this or can only you see it?
So I can see it, and as questions come in, so I invite folks to ask questions.
Okay,
I'll pop them on the screen for you to see.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hi, everybody. Victoria Jen Rodriguez, Orlando. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. So my story. So after 15 years in corporate, I worked on Wall Street in sales and trading. I worked in consumer product goods. I worked on legislation in Albany and Washington. I've worked in the pharmaceutical industry. So pretty diverse background in corporate, working at major brands like Johnson & Johnson, like Morgan Stanley, like Lehman Brothers, Bristol Myers Squibb. And 3 years ago, I was laid off yet again. That was like my third reorganization that I experienced. And I didn't plan on becoming an entrepreneur. I was still looking for a new role. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to close anything, which was a big ding to me because I like to think of myself as a closer. And so I took that as a sign from the universe that, hey, V, why don't you bet on yourself, see what you can create, and see what you can make happen for yourself and bet on yourself. And so 3 years later, I have 2 businesses under my belt. I run a consulting company, DJR Enterprises, that focuses on working with institutions to build out strategic campaigns around how they attract, develop, and retain top talent. I do a lot of advisory in inclusion and diversity. I do a lot of executive coaching under that arm. I also do a lot of keynote speaking. So I'll be invited to some of the conferences a lot of you might attend, especially related to women or anything around inclusion and diversity and mindset. I also have a nonprofit that I run, which is called the Female Collaborative, which is an organization focused on revolutionizing how women work and do business together.
Awesome. So walk us through, it's funny, that piece I didn't know that 3 years ago you had experienced a downsizing.
3 years ago.
Apropos for where we're at now, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us about the emotional part of you experiencing that, and when did it switch? What was that journey like to be like, oh my God, what's next for me? Do I go back into corporate? Talk us through that?
Yeah, I mean, I like to be super transparent and candid in all of my interviews. So I'm definitely going to make sure that I give you the realistic expectations when you think about entrepreneurship, because it seems to be a very lucrative space to be in, especially right now. People are feeling like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to start my own thing. And there's cons and pros, just like with everything else. And it is a constant emotional roller coaster that I still live on day to day. So there are highs, there are lows, there are valleys, there are peaks. But it is something that you need to be a warrior on, because there will be moments where you want to give up. Every other day there's something going on and I'm like, you know what, it would just be so much easier if I take my butt back to corporate and not
would it? No.
Yeah, because when you are an entrepreneur, especially if you're a solopreneur like me, I have a very, very slim team. I bring in like contractors for certain projects, but mainly it's all me. So, I'm the customer service, I'm the project manager, I'm the CEO, I'm the janitor. I play every single role. And that's a lot. When you're in corporate, you just really have one job for the most part. And that is your priority responsibility. You don't have to worry about, making sure your benefits get processed in time. There's usually an HR team that's handling that. You don't have to process your own payroll. It's just a completely different ballgame. And so you just have to be in it to win it, ready to roll your sleeves up, bootstrap it as long as you need to bootstrap it, and just go in with the mindset that this is not going to be easy, but this is going to push me outside of my comfort zone, which is going to make me a better professional, as well as just make me a better person, because you learn so much about yourself as an entrepreneur.
That's true. So with that, because a lot of viewers here may be in that mix, right? Those who've been furloughed, not looking for an opportunity, may take this time to reassess and say, hey, do I start my own business? But still, they're probably dealing with some kind of fear and mindset, like, I don't know where to go. So what was that like for you? And what steps did you take to where you ultimately said, you know what, I'm going to own my own destiny? Like, what mindset shift happened for you during that time?
Yeah, so it's the insider information. Before I decided to go out on my own, I actually started my business as a side hustle. So while I was still in corporate, I started the business because people were coming to me asking me for advisory. And I was like, oh, let me start charging people for this and, make some side income. And so it was already something that I was experiencing, of course, not to the extent of what it's like to do it full time and be completely dependent on those checks, right? Coming from what you put in is what you get out. But it allowed me to build a portfolio so that when I did decide to become an entrepreneur full time, I already had a book of clientele that I could reach out to and that I could depend on, right? So that was super helpful for me because I wasn't going in cold turkey, if you will. I had something to work off of. So for anybody who is thinking about entrepreneurship and is still in a position where you have a job, I would say start it while you still have income. Let your employer be your sponsor, right? If you want to think about it that way, let your employer sponsor you to start this new leave in your life, because it is helpful. And it also allows you to get an understanding of what it takes. And also, if you really want this for yourself, a lot of people think about entrepreneurship because, again, it looks like candy. It looks like exciting. It looks like, ooh, this looks like fun. It looks like I'm going to have all this freedom and I can give the deuces to my job and it just be so liberating. Not understanding the work. I have never worked as hard as I have as an entrepreneur. It is gruesome. It is not, fancy, sexy work. It is hard work every single day. And literally, it is completely dependent on you. So it is dependent upon how much hustle you got in you, because it is definitely a hustle. But I will say, having already tested the waters while I still had a job was very helpful and gave me the confidence to officially be like, you know what, let me bet on myself and see. And I'll add in that what also allowed the decision to be more smoother for me was I had savings. So I knew that I could stay afloat for the next 6 to 12 months, which was important to me because one of the promises that I made to myself was that I was never going to give up my lifestyle. I was never going to be the entrepreneur on my best friend's couch eating ramen noodles. Not happening. I would take the butt back to corporate. Sorry, not happening. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it my way and on my terms to the extent possible, right? And so I did have a savings and I had a plan, right? Because failing to plan is planning to fail.
Awesome. I'll never be the entrepreneur on my friend's couch. That's hilarious.
Yeah, not me.
And I'm sure there are quite a few out there, but if they're hustling, I get it. But yeah.
Right. More power to you. More power to you.
So what are you doing now that is helping you with maintaining your mindset during this pandemic? So this way you don't stay stagnant. Because again, the fact that I do follow you and I see you talk to quite a few of some high profile folks, right? You're getting next to these people. So there's something from a mindset and personal transformation that you're saying, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I don't care. The worst thing that can happen is they can say no.
Right.
But I have a dream. I have a vision. Right. Most notable, you just spoke with Susie Orman. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't know Susie Orman, right? Financial guru. So talk to us about again, where you said, you know what, I'm going to take the bulls by the horn and just go for it. Because that's right. That's still a mindset switch that I think a lot of folks who are battling with what's going on still haven't triggered yet. So what was that like?
So, right now, I advise people and my clients to just, if you need to hit pause and self-reflect, do that. Because a lot of us are running and not understanding that you need to crawl before you walk, right? And so we are just rushing because we see people around us that they're doing cool things and we start feeling self-down. I'm like, why am I not doing that? Like, I need to step it up. I need to do this. And they jump the gun without doing the foundational work and really finding out who you are and why you are, which is significant, which is your North Star. That is going to guide you whichever path you go on. And that's going to allow you to keep that thick skin when you have a lot of no's coming your way or when people try to test you. You need to be 1000% confident in who you are and comfortable in your own skin. And in order for that to happen, you need to do the work. You need to sit down, you need to look yourself in the mirror, and you need to figure out the things that you love about yourself, the things that you want to improve about yourself. You need to figure out your strengths and hone 1000% in on that. But people tend to forget the significance of that important step, and they're just always on the go. They're like a hamster, right? In their little twirly circle thing. They're just going. And so I encourage everyone. I did this, right? I think it's forced everyone to do this, but some people are taking it more seriously than others, is just self-reflect and take a step back and really figure out, where do you want to be in this world? What type of legacy you want to leave behind? What type of impact do you want to have? And what really matters to you? For some people, the only thing that matters to them is collecting a check, and that's okay. But you need to figure that out so that you can strategically set yourself up for success. And that will also allow you to give you the confidence that you need to secure someone like Susie Orman, to secure Soledad O'Brien or Rosanna Scotto, all these amazing people that I've been able to work with as a result of COVID. I was able to go in there confidently because I did the work and I was proud of me and I was in love with me. So it made it easier for me to ask questions and for me to go after it because I knew that I could do it because I believed in myself.
That's powerful. You said in love with me. So we're going to dive into that, but I want to get some questions that are being asked, answered.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So the first one's coming from Carmen. I'm not sure why her profile's not popping up, but nonetheless, it says, what was the biggest fear launching your business for the first time? How did you overcome that challenge? What did you learn from it? What would you have done differently?
Thanks for that question, Carmen. So my biggest fear launching the business was I wasn't going to make any money. I was like, how am I going to feed myself? How am I going to maintain this lifestyle? That is scary. So that was my biggest challenge. What I would have done differently, I would say nothing. And the reason why I say that, and for some it might sound cliche, is because as a result of the steps that I've taken, I've become so much better as a professional and as a human being that if I were to change that journey, it would bring me to a different place than where I am right now. And I'm very content with where I am right now, and not content to the point where like I'm not still going out and getting it and trying to improve. But I mean, I am proud of myself for where I've gotten, and I don't think I would have gotten here if I would have changed up anything differently. I will say that, what I would do differently is I would definitely figure out how to secure more six-figure clients much sooner rather than earlier. But again, there's certain things that, you can go through the training, you can go through the programs, you can hire a coach, but there's just certain things you need to experience for yourself in order for you to kind of find yourself in the madness and really figure out what makes sense for you. And so it's kind of like, that story, little kids, where they're like, don't touch the stove because it's hot, but they still want to go and touch the stove because they have to experience it for themselves. And entrepreneurship is very much like that. There's just certain things you're going to have to do on your own because nobody's going to care about your business as much as you do. Nobody's going to bring your dream to the forefront as much as you are. And so there are certain things that you need to experience on your own that nobody can coach you through.
Love that. Love that. You might have answered the next question. It's coming from, let me see if hopefully I didn't lose it, from Frank Scott. Let me see. Nonetheless, I'll ask it because I did read it. He said, so basically, since COVID, have you had to change anything in your business? And that's from Frank Scott.
Yes. So I have become a pivot master, if you will. I mentioned earlier that I'm a speaker. So that's a huge chunk of my income now that has been put on hold because I go to events and I speak at conferences. And, even though a lot of them are transitioning to the virtual experience, it's not the same. And organizations are looking for different things now than they were when there were in-person experiences. So I had to pivot and figure out, okay, that's a huge chunk of income. How am I going to fill that bucket, right? And so I've had to pivot. I've had to become a leader with empathy on a level of 1,000,000, okay? Because right now is a super, super sensitive time and courageous leadership is what's winning, right? So I've had to change how I speak. I've had to change how I show up. I've had to change on how many times I check in. All of these things that COVID and also, Black Lives Matter has transformed all of us in ways that we love and ways that we may not love so much, but it's definitely forcing us to become better human beings and better professionals. And so I've had to pivot my business a number of different ways. I'm still pivoting. I'm still in a state of transformation. Earlier, you mentioned, Orlando, that I interviewed Susie Orman and some others that I mentioned. That was a result of a series that I launched on IGTV called the Woman Who Wore series, where I'm interviewing, female icons and industry disruptors, culture disruptors. That would have never happened now if it wasn't for COVID, right? That was a pivot. I knew okay, everybody's home. Everybody is on Instagram. Everybody's on the internet. Let me meet them where they are. So I created this show to showcase, my intellect while I'm interviewing these people, to show my community and my network, hey, I've got reach, my friends. Look who I'm bringing onto this show. And also it was an opportunity to showcase my skills as a professional development personality, right? Which is the dream, to have my own show and interview professionals of color and just amazing people. And so that was an opportunity that came about because of COVID, because everybody was stuck at home. And it was also a way for me to bring people together while we were forced to be apart. So you have to think creatively and not be afraid to go outside your comfort zone and think outside the box, because all of us are being forced to do that. And it's a beautiful time. I know at first you might hit it with some resistance because you're like, hold on, this is uncomfortable for me. This is not my space. I don't belong here. And imposter syndrome might come in and you might have to fight off all of this negative talk, but fight through it because you're experiencing that because you're human. All of us experience that. Even your most senior people, the people that you admire the most, they all experience that. So recognize it, acknowledge it, take your time, no longer than a week. I give my clients a week to cry, to do whatever they need to do, to feel sad, to be depressed, whatever. After that week, that's it. After that week, that's all you got. Then we step up and we step into our greatness because we are all here to leave an imprint. We all have a unique story. We all have magic to bring to the table. We just need to make sure that we don't forget that we are destined for greatness, even in the madness.
I like that. I like that. So actually that question was from Noel. Sorry, Frank, I gave you credit for a question you did not ask. So I apologize, Noel. So let's backtrack to what you said earlier about loving yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Some folks may go through this thinking it was their fault, even though if they were furloughed or termed, like, what can I have done that kept my job or things like that? What are you doing or what have you done to come out of that zone where it's like, this is, it's not my fault and I still have the power to make change? Like, talk to us about what are you doing to keep your personal transformation positive and mindset and progressing, basically?
Yeah, I'll start with, if you are furloughed or laid off, do not take it personally, my friends. Okay, that is a business decision. That can be with just the level you are, the salary that you have. It is not personal. When companies go through reorgs, even if your manager loves you, it's usually not up to your manager. It's usually like, we need to cut X amount of VPs. If you fall into that bucket, you're getting cut. So don't take that personal. I think that's huge to understand, and for you to be realistic about that. It's not you, it's them. And that's facts. Okay. In terms of what I've been doing, there's three things. One, you need to make sure that you are looking yourself in the mirror every day, saying your affirmations, doing whatever it is that makes you feel that you are unstoppable and incredible. You need to put the time into whatever it is that does that for you. So that form of self-care needs to happen every single day. Every single day, I look in the mirror and I tell myself I'm amazing. I tell myself I'm incredible. I tell myself I'm going to collect these coins today. I tell myself I'm going to have impact. I'm going to change lives. This is every day. What you speak out into the universe matters. It matters. The second thing is, I will have your personal board of advisors like on tap immediately. So whoever it is in your life that you can call upon, that can be there for you, that can be your person to ideate with, that can be your person to just vent to, whoever it is, you need that personal board of advisors to be there for you. They are your cheerleaders. They are your community. They are your people. And if you don't have that type of community, the Female Collaborative, one of the things that we offer, which I am very proud about, is we have an incredible network of trailblazing women who are killing the game, who are eager to collaborate and make magic with you. And it is the exact place to be if you are lost, if you are feeling like you are alone, if you are feeling like you just need a community of badassery. Okay, I hope I could say that word on your show. And then the third thing I would say is, you need to continue to be a student and be open to change and be open to reinvention. Earlier, I explained my career path. I started on Wall Street. I was doing sales and trading. Then I ended up in the nonprofit sector doing legislation, right? Then I ended up back in finance, but now I was doing HR work. I was doing recruiting. I was doing talent management work. And now I am an entrepreneur. So constant reinventions throughout my whole entire career, and being open to change and understanding that even though you don't have 10 years of experience in a certain industry, in a certain role, you have transferable skill sets that will allow you to be successful in anything that you do. Anything that you do. The key is that you believe yourself and you need to be confident. And so if that is what is missing, then you need to go back and do the inner work that I mentioned earlier, because that is, again, your North Star and what is going to allow you to get through any storm at any capacity, is the belief in yourself and the confidence that you have that you're going to be okay. And you can do anything. You can do anything you put your mind to. And that's truth. That is not, something you see in Reading Rainbow, for those who remember that show. It is real. It is real. And I am a testament to that. My clients are a testament to that. And it is powerful. That is your magic, and you need to own it.
I love that. I love it. So, because I want to touch on now the reason behind you starting the collaborative, right? Okay. So some of the things I talk to folks, the Female Collaborative. Sorry, want to get that right. Somebody hashtag that for us in the message so we can throw that up. So when I do one-on-one coaching, or sometimes I do some mentors for about an hour or 45 minutes with folks. And one of the things I say is, in order for you to stand out, start something. right? Even if it's just a Zoom call with professionals within your space,
Right.
be the person to initiate that group. Because, and I gave this kind of analogy. If you go to a big soiree, big party, right? You're looking at all the big players that are there and you're like, oh, wow, oh, wow. My mindset says, who's the person that got these folks together? They're the ones that have the deeper connections and the relationships, right? So be that person. Don't worry about the folks that are necessarily in the room, which is great because you make more relationships. But it's obviously someone who picked up the phone and got these folks together. So talk to us about what state in which you were in when you started the Female Collaborative. Was it out of necessity? Was it, like you said, I need more support? What did that look like for you?
So interesting story. So about a year into my entrepreneur journey, of course, I was a part of associations. I was a part of networks because I was trying to get business. I was trying to expand and diversify my network. And I would go to these female-led events, and I just felt there was a lack of authenticity. There was a lack of genuine connections that were being made. So couple that with, I needed to create an additional stream of income for myself. And I knew that I could bring amazing women together and host a really great event because I have experience in that space. And so I launched the first annual Women Who Wore Summit and partnered up with some other women to put on an event, a 2-day event. And that event we planned in 2 months. We sold out in 2 months. And just experiencing the feedback and how lives were changed from that one event, it was a testament to me, like, okay, V, clearly women are yearning for an experience where they can take off the mask and truly show up as themselves and be celebrated for that type of individuality, and want to personal revitalize themselves as well as professionally. And it was at that moment when I sold out that event out of the need of inauthentic connections, stream of income, that I decided that I wanted to turn this into an organization. Hence how the Female Collaborative was born. And 3 years later, we've been recognized by Forbes. We have a 2,000 plus network. We sell out our annual Women Who Wore Summit every year. We have a thriving membership where we have learning symposiums, coaching, CEO check-ins. We have a membership portal where we house all of our resources. Actually, tonight, I have an event with our members. We're doing a game night, 3 truths and a lie, right? Because it's not only about making sure we are elevating ourselves professionally, but making sure that we are whole soulfully, right, is important. And so that's how we were born. And I continue to make sure that we maintain the integrity of the organization, my board and I, to make sure that we are bringing in people who share the mindset to revolutionize how women work and do business together, but also share the mindset in collaboration, share the mindset in, I can't do this alone. And quite frankly, I don't want to do this alone. I need to be around amazing women in order to make this happen. And fun fact for you, Orlando, we also have men in the network. We have 2 men in the network.
All right. Okay.
We open it up to men because we wouldn't be true collaborators if we didn't. And also, we need the allies, right? We need the allies. I think, my board and I agree that we tried to do it alone for so long and it's just not working. We need men, right? We need men to collaborate with us. We need men to partner, and we can learn from each other. And so I'm really excited about the work that we're doing over at the femalecollaborative.com. Check it out, become a member, invest in yourself. You're worth it. And I'm excited about the future for us.
Good. So I'm glad to hear that. That's good. Yeah. So you mentioned something earlier where you said about basically having a council, right? So I'm a big believer in the Bible says there's safety in a multitude of counsel. Mm-hmm. So what do you call it a council? What's your mentorship, your peer, the folks that you surround yourself with? Because I heard there's something where you have someone that's 2 levels above you, 1 level above you, at the same level, and 1 you're trying to bring up. Mm-hmm. So what's your makeup of your council in terms of their experience? You don't have to share names or anything, and what are they adding to you based on those councils and those conversations?
Yeah, before I answer that, I just want to go back to community because I want to make sure I hone this in. So if you build it, they will come.
Mm.
And Orlando made a great point. If you don't see it, create it. And if you become a source of influence, a source of information, a resource, people will seek you out versus you always having to ask people for help. They will come to you. So building the Female Collaborative has elevated my personal brand, has diversified my network, has allowed myself to become known as an expert, right? So don't be afraid to be the organizer, to be the coordinator. And even if it starts small, it needs to start somewhere. Everything starts small, right? So don't be afraid to start small. Like Orlando is doing this right now live with all of you watching. He's like, you know what? I'm going to create a platform where I bring together people that I respect, people that are doing their thing, and I'm going to educate my community. And at the same time, I'm going to build my community. He's doing it right here in front of you live. And it's so simple, but people overcomplicate it a lot. But there's a lot of merit and truth that if you become a resource and you connect people, people value that and they value connections. So, but if anything, do that. Just make solid connections and people will look at you as a value add and will come to you with opportunities.
Phenomenal point. Yep.
Yeah. So to answer your question around councils, so I have different levels of councils, right? I've got peer councils, I've got executive councils, I've got my personal board of advisors, and I do that purposely because sometimes I need to just be humbled, right? Sometimes I just need somebody to be like, all right, Victoria, calm it down. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I know because of X, Y, Z.
And can I jump in right there real quick? And then I'm sorry to interrupt because I want to make a point there. Notice how, when I'm speaking to the viewers, she didn't say, I have my friends that I go to, though you develop the friendship relationship, right, but you're keeping it in a accountable business term. So they keep you accountable as you grow your brand and your business. That's what I love. It's like I have my council. Now I got my girls that I hang out with, my fellas that check me. No. This is a council. So they have a responsibility to say, like you said, keep you humble. I just wanted to make that point. So that was great. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's why community is important, right? So at the Female Collab, we're all about accountability. They call me out all the time. Like, Victoria, you said you were going to come in and talk to us at 8 o'clock and you didn't do it. They hold me accountable and vice versa. So accountability is important. But I will say I also have, my friends that I look to remind me of where I come from and to remind me of the grind and to remind me of the hustle and to remind me of the blessing that is to have friends and family that care about me and care about my development and support me. So again, everybody serves a different role in your life. Every group serves a different purpose in your life. You just need to make sure, like the same way you run your investments, right? The advice is diversify that portfolio. You need to make sure you're diversifying your network personally and professionally, because that is how you're going to gain the most access, the most education, the most development is if you diversify that. I will say that you want to be strategic in that diversification, right? You don't want to waste your time. We don't have time to waste out here. So be mindful on who you're spending time with and who you're exchanging energy with, because that is incredibly impactful to you. So be mindful of that. But definitely make sure that you are spending the time to cultivate relationships and to really foster those councils for you, because they're important. In terms of, different levels, what they provide, I have super senior people that I go to when I need to negotiate a major contract. And I'm like, hey, how do I negotiate this thing? Like, I didn't even know I could get this much money, and they help me negotiate it. One of my mentors I had a big idea and I went to him and just asked him like, hey, what do you think? What are you seeing? What's happening in the industry? What are some of your peers doing? Do you think this even is realistic? And you need to be able to have people in your life that you trust, that you could just run ideas by. Like, we all need that. And we all need to not be vulnerable, like not be afraid to be vulnerable, right? Oprah has a coach, Tony Robbins has a coach, your favorite reality star has a coach, your favorite actress, actor, your favorite boss. All of us has people in our lives that we go to that we know make us better. And we welcome that, right? Those that welcome people into their lives that make them better go further, and in my personal opinion, are happier, which is most important.
Mm, great. Well, she's dropping diamonds. Like I said, we have no time for nuggets.
VJs.
Diamonds. So now, did you start DJR first before the collaborative, correct?
Yes. So DJR Enterprises was my first business that I launched, my consulting company, which started as the side hustle while I was working. Mm-hmm.
So let's uncover that. What do you again? What was the need for you to start that? And then what are the services that you go into when you're coaching folks?
Yeah, so the need to start that was, Johnson & Johnson was my last corporate role. And they actually didn't want to lay me off. They wanted me to move to Florida. They wanted me to move to Tampa, which I don't know if you guys gathered yet. Nothing against Tampa, but I'm more of a Miami girl. I'm a Tampa girl. So I was like,
what's wrong with Tampa?
nothing wrong with Tampa. I'm just not there yet. I'd rather be in Miami. And so I had a decision to make if I was going to go or if I wasn't going to go. And I decided that I wasn't going to go. But I was still, again, not thinking about entrepreneurship at the time. I was going on interviews. I was making it to final rounds, and I wasn't able to close anything. And it was bothering me because I'm a closer. And I was like, why can't I close this? Like, what is going on? And so, like I said earlier, I took that as a sign from the universe. And sometimes we need to pay attention to what's happening and also not taking what we may initially perceive as a disappointment, not allowing it to deter us from our path or to prevent us to continue to keep going because we're disappointed, right? I could have been extremely disappointed and been like, you know what, this sucks. No, I said, you know what? I'm going to look at this as the glass half full versus half empty. And I'm going to use this as an opportunity and pay attention. Like, let me just bet on myself and see how far I can go. If anything, I can always go back to corporate. I've been in this game for 15 years. I've got a network. I can always go and get a job, I wasn't scared about that. And so that's how I came to start my own business. And I've never gone back, right? It's been 3 years and I've never gone back, even though every other week I'm like, damn, should I go back? I don't know, man. It might be easier if I go back and I got my benefits and I checks, because that's just a level of stability that we all yearn for. But at the same token, it's exciting work, it's rewarding work. I get to do it my way, on my terms. I get to work with clients I want to work with. DJR Enterprises is all about humanizing the corporate experience. So I went into the work thinking about, which is very timely for what is going on right now. But I went into the, into the space with the mindset that I want to humanize the corporate experience and really introduce people to energy leadership. That's what I call it. So when I go in and I work with institutions and I build out these campaigns to attract, develop, and retain talent, I keep that in mind. How are we humanizing the experience? How are we making sure that people are valued? How are we investing in them differently than our competitors? And how are we really making them feel like they can truly show up as who they are and they're not just talking points, right? Or PR jargon. And so that's why organizations bring me in if they're looking for what I have coined smart disruption, right? Disruption, that word kind of gets people a little frazzled. So I put smart in front of it so people get it, right? This is about doing things outside of the box that are smart, that are impactful, that are revolutionary, right? And so I work with clients who have the appetite for that type of smart disruption. They bring me in to counsel them around inclusion and diversity. They bring me in to work with their ERGs, their employee resource groups around building out frameworks, KPIs, etc. They also bring me in to do coaching, right? Sometimes they have a lot of high potential talent that they need to be coached in order to get to the next level. And so they bring me in. And then, the keynote speaking that I spoke about, I lead trainings, I lead workshops, a lot of great work that's happening there. And that's the B2B business under the consultancy, and the B2C, where I work with consumers, I coach people one-on-one individually. So professionals hire me, entrepreneurs hire me that are looking for personal, professional coaching and are looking for that accountability partner. But mainly they're looking for somebody that's kind of like that no-nonsense approach that's going to keep it real with them, but also keep it realistic and strategic, which I think is most important.
Awesome. So what's next for you with DJR, Female Collaborative, who you have. I know you can't reveal probably who you have lined up, or who's your target list. Let me ask that. Who's your target list or wish list of folks that you're looking to interview?
My target list, folks that I'm looking to interview. Well, I mean, the list is long. The list is long, and it changes every day because I'm inspired differently every single day. Like every single day I find somebody new and I'm like, oh my God, I want to interview this person. I mean, obviously, you know, the GOATs, the legends. I would love to interview Oprah. I would love to interview Michelle Obama. You know, I would love to interview Jay-Z, Beyonce, obviously. But I love to also interview, by the way, guys, make sure you follow me on YouTube, Victoria Jen TV. That is where I have my first season of my show, and also my second season is about to drop. A lot of my interviews are there, so go there. Victoria Jen TV on YouTube. But I would say I like to interview people who move me emotionally, who are doing dope work, who are doing impactful work, who are changing lives, who may not be people on your television screen, but they are changing lives in ways that we would all be blessed to be in the rooms with them. And those are the type of people that I like to interview. You know, selfishly, a lot of my interviews are for me, you know, because I'm just so in awe by these people that the questions that I ask them are questions I have, and the audience and my community just appreciates it because of the way I ask it and the type of questions, because I like getting to the tea. I like getting super vulnerable, and, you know, unveiling the onion and having my guests share information that they wouldn't share on a public platform normally, but they're just so comfortable, right, with talking to me. Because I learned so much, and I am inspired, and I am motivated so much by these interviews. So Victoria Jen TV, go there, follow me. A lot of great content coming out soon.
Awesome. You actually stole the words right out of my mouth. Is one of the main reasons for doing LinkedIn Live is that I get to talk to so many interesting people like yourself. Like when I just came across your content, I was like, okay. I was like, wow, she's doing some great stuff. Oh, wow, she's from the New York area. I'm like, wow, okay. And then next, you know, I got the opportunity to do this. I'm like, I'm reaching out. It's so
easy, you know, Orlando. Like, people are like, how did you get Susie Orman? This is what I did to get Susie Orman. It's so simple. I made a video on my Instagram, and I said, guys, my idol, this is all true, and, you know, because I want to be the Susie Orman of personal and professional development for the minority community, right? So I want to be her, but me. And so I said, guys, this is my idol. I need you guys to tag her on this video because I want to interview her. And my community just went in and they started tagging her, say, you need to come on the show. You need to come on the show. Next thing you know, a couple of hours later, I get a DM. Who is it? It's Susie Orman in my DM saying, hey, I heard you're looking for me. I almost passed out. I was like, oh my God.
Wow. And I've seen that video. Yeah.
And
insane.
Didn't cost me anything. All it did is me opening up and me sharing myself and saying, hey guys, I need your help. I need your help. Can you please tag her? And this is why. And sometimes we don't even ask for help, and it prevents us from our light. It prevents us from our greatness because we're just allowing our ego to direct us instead of allowing our magic to exude from us, right? Because we're standing in our own way. And it's as simple as that, you know. Soledad O'Brien, I met at an event. I went up to her, introduced myself. You know, we were thinking of doing some things together, and we didn't get to. I reached out to her a couple of months later, and she was down to do it. Like, especially right now, people are more empathetic right now, right? They are more willing to help. So take advantage of that. Like, your dream, whoever you wanted to work with, whoever you want to talk to, reach out. Just reach out. You may get a response, you may not, but who cares? Just reach out and see what you can create out of nothing, and you will be surprised by what you're able to do. Trust me, I surprise myself all the time, and I'm like still in awe that I've been able to do some of the things that I've been able to do, but it started with the ask. That's it. It started with just the ask.
That's powerful. That's pretty powerful. So share with us any final thoughts on mindset, personal transformation, encouragement that you put yourself through to keep you going for the viewers to latch on to?
I would say attend more things like this, right? Educate yourself, as I said, remain a student. Whatever inspires you, moves you emotionally, do more of that. Do more of what makes you feel good about yourself, about the work that you are doing. If you are in a period where you are finding yourself, that is okay. Find yourself. Take the time to find yourself and don't feel guilty about that. Don't let anybody else talk you out of that work. That work is significant. It is critical. You need to have a strong foundation. Think about building a house. If you don't build a house on a strong foundation, it is going to crumble down, right? Think about that for yourself. If you don't build a solid foundation, you will crumble down at some point. And you want to avoid that. So take the time to find yourself, take the time to love on you, take the time to figure out what makes you special, what is your magic, because all of us have something unique in us that the world will benefit from. Just take the time. And if you're struggling with identifying that, then work with somebody who can help pull that out of you, like myself. But there's plenty of other amazing people that do this work as well. And that's a blessing, right? My purpose is to help people become the best version of themselves personally and professionally. My purpose is to change lives, is to change the world in that way. That is my purpose. And I was blessed enough to find that purpose, but it took me time. It took me time to find that purpose. And so give yourself permission to take the time to find who you are and why you are, because once you figure that out, there's no stopping you.
And we're going to close it out on that note. Thank you so much, Victoria. So what I'll do after this is anyone who has questions, please continue to ask and I'll tag you to them so you can respond. Definitely reach out to her on LinkedIn, follow her on IG, and she can share that information in the feed. But thank you again so much for your time, your wisdom, your diamonds, your energy.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. And I look forward to continuing to build with you, Orlando. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everybody.